Okay, everyone could sort of come a bit closer together anyway, because it's just a fisheye and it's just going to be around here. See, if we could, if we just get our consciousnesses to bloody spark off each other, or even close and come right in. Sort of.
Well, that needs closeness, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is the truth.
Right, we just wanted to, while we're all here, who called this meeting and what are we meeting about? So what, we're meeting about how we can all sort of, you'll find out what's in the minds of other people who have been our friends or in some cases for a long time, and we haven't, we're just coming together and seeing what everyone's into, and then focusing together, and then knowing that we can't go by ourselves very far, that we need to integrate with a whole lot of people to really get high. And that's that idea. If we can sort of make the world where we can be high as high as we can all the time. But
yeah, and sort of subsistent. There's been a lot of talk here about kind of running places that are autonomous and alternative at the same time. I think people here, came for a lot of different reasons. A lot just out of a kind of general obscure curiosity, and then having got here, a lot of people have reforged contacts with old friends, exchanged a lot of ideas, because there's been a lot of growth in the heads of people around here. And I think one really good thing is the commune from Nimbin, which has come down, 5 people from Tuntable Falls. There's been a terrific exchange between them and other people on a practical level, kind of just how to really do it. Because you see, what's interesting about this particular event here, or communes in general, like Tuntable Falls, is intellectuals coming out of the closet of the library or the cloister of the university, to some extent. I mean, apart from a lot of other people, and a lot of people here are trembling on the brink of casting away, making a complete breakaway gesture. And you see lots of different types. Some want to bring it with them as they're jumping off, and so there's all these kind of stay with the system talk and blueprints, and that's sort of, that's natural. And so there's a lot of different motives. But I think the higher consciousness thing has happened a bit here in practice, on certain levels, especially with small groups of people.
Yeah.
But if you're just sort of looking for an ultimate motive, then there's no such really, because we all really have a different, like a total dejection of, or dejection with and rejection of the existing scene, and an approaching a new adventure with a certain amount of kind of, I hope, our objectiveness intact, a little bit of our skepticism, a lot of our humour, and a lot of us are going different roads. And I think that here was not even a crossroad, like a multi-roaded event, very low key, not one public, no one's been hired to come here, there's not one public kind of act. You see, even at Nimbin there was a lot of PR, and there was bowels of Bengal, and like here is just a kind of word of mouth stream, that's led here, and there's a lot of fertilising going on.
Yeah, that's why the occasion has been sort of pretty
tranquil.
Pretty organically right that it happened. That we all felt as though we should have come, and when the opportunity was there, we came. Well, but what have we worked out though? Really, I don't really feel as though I've really.
You want to go home with a pocket full of conclusions?
Yeah.
I want to walk home with my manifesto and say, well, that's what the bloody thing is all. I think it's one of those things you can't possibly interpret immediately. Some of the feedback comes immediately, some of the feedback comes in the long term. I think one of the most interesting things from my viewpoint is how, because of all of these people, how easily this thing's functioned anyway. How compatible people were immediately, and that's a growth of what's happened before, and so the next one will be higher. And I feel a bit disappointed, and I think Tom talked about it before, that we're only into the surface of a hell of a lot of things, and even that manifesto, which is very socially orientated. I feel like getting into technology and concentrating on that, or getting into some of the political aspects, or all of the various degrees of information that the touchstones that are set off at things like that.
Yeah, we're trying to reach a consensus here, aren't we? You know,
I don't think in detail.
No, not in
not
detail,
really.
but you know,
The consensus of objectives.
it's consensus of a reality here now. You know.
Yeah, but I don't think it ought to be over kind of romanticised or over dramatised why people are here, and like there's this little squabble between people which sometimes is sort of blown up into an incredible karmic cosmic force. I mean, it's this is just a gathering of predominantly middle class, mobile, curious group on one level, but on another level, it's a group of I don't know, lifestyle revolutionaries. I think really, totally, it can be looked at in so many different particular levels.
Well, all the people here totally control their own lives, you know, or not totally, perhaps, but
contemplating
to a higher degree than most. And it reflects in the way that they're able to keep themselves together in this situation, you know, without any kind of structure having to support the community.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't for
that's
society,
good.
though, you know, we still would be here with, you know, to the affluence and all the rest of it.
Yeah. That's part of the whole pattern anyway, you know, that it's crowded us out, and that if we have got the leisure and time to pursue new ways of living, well, we've got the responsibility to do it. So we really should, it's really terrific if we do it, but this is only just the beginning. This isn't really doing it anyway yet, is it? It's
putting it into practice.
Getting ready, preparing ourselves.
People can look back and see things that may have not worked. It's something that happened before.
Yeah.
At least, each one is a progression anyway for people that maybe have been involved in it before, or even not.
It's a semi-dress rehearsal.
Yeah.
I come here for a recharge and go back to the city again and get slightly sort of dissipated. Back on the Mix and cup of tea and good lies down. You come here.
You really live on that?
Mentally, I do.
There's lots of women in the city. I went to Sydney last year, so there's lots of women. I was so sick, I had all these boils, I couldn't get any. I was really bothered. It's funny, cities.
Well, maybe this is giving us new avenues to explore as we meet each other people that are on the brink or already doing it.
Yes.
Can living daylight set up out in the country?
That's a question I asked before the paper started. No, it can't, basically for technical reasons at the moment.
But like, say here in Armidale, the university brings out a newspaper.
Well, yeah, well, so...
What
does that mean? No, I'm producing a national newspaper, from us. It's got to be done from the city just for the distribution. I want you to be able to buy it in Armidale, and people to be able to buy it in Perth, New Zealand, Queensland, Sydney. It's out to Tuesday, it's out today. But anyway, look, there's not much tape, and I think it's probably better, rather than doing a commercial for a newspaper. To get back to kind of, yes, Graeme's just
were and
for holding this thing,
Right.
Get on the camera, man.
Well, I think that movements grow slowly, and I think we're witnessing change, and I think this thing about taking it forward, and each event, you pin social change to events. So I'm into this facilitating events business, because I think when the first pop festival was held, when was that? 3 years ago, it seems.
Orimba,
the first Orimba.
Yeah, the Free Festival.
That was bloody ages ago.
Well, the first Free Festival grew from that. And that's Johnny Allen's point, but at that stage, people were only capable of organising headphones for their ears. There really wasn't any sort of vision that fits it. Then it sort of went on from Johnny Allen's Free Festival to the Nimbin Festival. And I think we just thought too big, as organisers. And we spent a lot of money, a lot of energy, and we discovered a lot of things. So we discovered a lot of good things, we discovered it work, but we discovered that the consciousness wasn't that defined. That's this thing I've been carrying on about the hippie bullshit business, that it all just happens attitude. And that people were so fucked up in their minds, they're so alienated by the institutions around them, they couldn't conceive of any sort of good government. So as soon as they saw any sort of organisation, they felt they had to rip it off in some sort of way. So it was we were just, as organisers, faced with this battle to keep the energy balance up all the time. It turned out it succeeded, or the festival was a success because the energy balance was always being supplemented by really high energy influxes from the cities. You know, people like Cole James arriving with a busload from New South Wales, for example, and University of New South Wales, and charging into the work. You know, when we were completely blown out, we couldn't even organise ourselves because of the struggles that were going on. And of course, when everyone arrived from the cities, they just took up an instant high, and the thing was carried through its momentum. But it came a crashing flop, a real down once those people had sort of withdrawn to return to their energy scenes in the city. And my expectations were high because here we were recycling this town. We didn't own land, the point I was making, but if we had a bit of social organisation, we could have survived in the town. You could have, a simple thing, you know, would have been to organise people, you know, a work gang, who's, you know, a group of people who are willing to go out and work on a plantation for a few days, work hard and turn up on time and work the full amount of time, and develop a good relationship with the farmers in the district. There would have been an income generated because of that's a statement about the nature of work in the country. It could have happened if people were willing to organise. And lots of other industries that could have been set up that don't require land. You know, that land could have been a goal, but it didn't have to be the first step. You know, social organisation could have been the first step, but it was, you know, obviously asking too much. So that's that level of consciousness, because people coming from the cities were fucked up by schools, fucked up by hospitals, fucked up by the nuclear family, have this pathological, this is my discovery anyway, I didn't realise it was so deep, almost a pathological resistance to any sort of structure being formed about them. You see, because they're afraid that if a structure comes down on an unstructured group, like we had at Nimbin, then they'll find themselves on the wrong side of the fence and be an outsider again, just like they were. Because, with all due respect to the dropout phenomenon, it's not only a matter of conscience that it happens. These things about space-age hobos, that the Berkeley article in Daylight referred to this sort of thing. You also got people who get to the dropout thing because that's the way they've fallen. You know, that every other thing they've tried has collapsed and they can't relate to any sort of institution. They've been so thoroughly screwed that they can't deal with an institutionalised world of any form, whether it's good government or bad government. So they just stay. If they get into these scenes where there's absolutely no structure, I mean, there's no one even responsible for cleaning the kitchen in the house and things like that. Or no one who's willing to decide, as happened in the house up in Nimbin, whether there are too many at the house and whether more could be taken in. So lots of freakouts happened. That all the goodwill we had in Nimbin was, you know, just blown apart by a lack of social community concern. That people weren't concerned about the people who metaphorically shit in the streets. They weren't willing to take responsibility to say, look, you're ruining the scene I've got going here. Not us, not me particularly, but there's a good thing happening here. It just requires that you realise the responsibilities you're taking on, so that if you upset one landlord, he's going to feed all that information back to all the other farmers who are giving out, you know, houses on dirt cheap rents up there and letting people use the land. You know, there's quite a flexible arrangement. That's going to feed back so that no one's going to let people stay up there in the houses. And there was that process began to happen, and it was only, I think, Nimbin was salvaged by the Tuntable Falls coming through and actually acquiring the land. And there are lots of things, and I'd say in 5 years, the Nimbin Valley is going to be quite an incredible place when people are buying that land there now, and when all those groups move in and get functioning, it's going to be a really high scene, a very interesting place to live. Anyway,
just for the point of record of this place, you should kind of
come back to this place.
Catapult to the present here and now.
Well,
the thing, even before getting into specific objectives and all that kind of politics with this, I mean, I think what Mick was after, what we're all trying.
What's going on now?
A sort of cosmic.
I've got to give you this reference point.
Yes.
The thing I stretched in this place was the structure of it. You know, that get to people to accept the structure and see how well it works. That you can conceive of government, a good government, And good government's invisible. So the first thing we tried, just an experiment, was the bell on the tree down there. Which, if everyone recognised that tiny thing, that when the bell was rung, the group should assemble, and that anyone had the right to pull the bell if they weren't happy, and draw the group together and concentrate on that problem, you could create a community. You can create a ritual of assembly there that allows discharges in, conflicts and things. But there are lots of other factors involved in what's happening here. But the essence of it, as far as I'm concerned, is a willingness of people now to talk about structure and talk about the community rights transcending individual rights, and talk about the responsibility not just to children, but to bum trippers in the community. Saying that I've got to tell that person that they're shitting in my nest. I'm not going to wait for some cop or some organiser to do it. If I want this community to work on a free basis, then it's a group responsibility. So that's the sort of step I see taken forward, and I feel sort of confident now that since this thing works so well and the energies remain so high, that we can launch into intentional communities with the assumption that structure will be there from the beginning. You see? I think that's, all the people I've talked to, people weren't willing to talk about structure. So if you talk about structure before you get the people together, then you're going to ruin it. You're taking away our freedom. We won't be able to do our own things and all that sort of thing. But that small shift in consciousness, I think, is incredibly significant, because now not only do we have the technology for an alternative community, but we have the social relationships and a realisation of the social relationships that can make them work.
How would you think that we should sort of work on the small scale, but we also have to work on the whole of Australia's resource and the whole world thing too? Yeah. Well, how are we going to work out that structure? That's what we need to sort of, if we're going to be a sort of focus of consciousness just in this part of New South Wales. Well, we have to then sort of link up with other folky around Australia and around the world. Well, we've got to do that. Yeah.
I think that's happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
In order to prevent us from being isolationist.
And that's why we need the need the information exchange thing through different media.
That's what you're doing. You're holding something in your hand that can. Like that. I think some of the stuff that came up at this meetings here, the commune meetings, with a point about intra-communal relations too, which is getting together now.
Yeah.
Because there's more communication between communes. So at the moment that happens with individuals like Precious, kind of going up and down and carrying information, sort of the way it used to happen years ago. But now I think that there's kind of almost be daylight can act as one sort of sort of inter-commune between communes and cities, and somebody suggested like an annex in the city, which was a really good idea.
There were lots of good ideas coming out of that, lots and lots of good ideas. And I think, Graeme, you've asked everybody to write down a thing, and the people who made reports to get those together.
Underline. I'd really like to publish them.
Yes.
Do you want me to think small, Ray? Because I really like to impress that on people, because we live in a mass marketing community. Everything's talked about in mass. Nothing's real unless you. A song's not real unless you sell 10 million copies of it and things like that.
Pretty close. Close lens.
But you have a look through it. So the point I've been trying to make here is, instead of waiting for big things to change, you can change little things about you. And now it's possible now to get things together and make a community work. I think that seems as small. Think about taking your house, and rebuilding in the country. Now, contrast to this, you've got the people we had this argument yesterday about the municipal government argument, that, all you've got to do is fight and get the votes on municipal government. Well, my reply to that, you change things in your community in the urban centre. My reply to that is that it takes a hell of a lot of energy, and the returns are really small. And it seems to me, if you come to the country and think small with that amount of energy, you can get a really good scene going. You can develop a frontier, a society, a freedom here. You can have all the social relationships you want, the structures you want. You can experiment and do all those sorts of things. You can build your structure, build houses and shelters to suit your requirements. I don't think those sort of things are possible in cities. Now, that idea of everyone I don't want to get into think big, but thinking small like that, then possibilities become real. You can see.
Yeah. Listen, there's a relationship there, though, to what Graeme's saying, what Mick's talking about, the world community.
Yeah.
And that is a feeling I think that a lot of people feel.
That's rich.
Let's bloody well get out there and make them work, because it's just a mere example of these working things. The network and the energy flow.
Yeah. There's also the fact that we find ourselves that we have operational models of what we think in terms of sort of things we don't like about the system. I think a whole lot of other groups in society, particularly liberation groups, just women's liberation groups, gay groups, the squatters in the cities, the resident action groups. So many things we hold in common with these people as well. I think that possibly we need to develop further communication.
Yeah, well, in fact, Graeme and I were chatting last night that one thing that really strikes me is that these sort of kind of occasions are open to the criticism of political activists. How dare you be happy when people are starving, kind of thing. And I think that's a really sort of symbolic gesture that could be made by future gatherings of this, and certainly communes, would be to think like we're trying to, almost arrogantly set out to define or develop or evolve into kind of a totally liberated community. The actually freedom is the word, really. And in Australia, kind of the opposite to that, the complete opposite is a prison. And there's a lot of action going on in prisons at the moment. And I think it would be a terrific, political wing to this movement to try and forge some kind of connection somehow, because they are the yin and yang, two sort of opposites. Australia has a whole kind of convict prison heritage, which we have a terrific debt to the kind of, the pain of our history. So, even on a cosmic level, I think that's something, we've got to find a way of not losing our contact with the rest of society, not becoming too insulated and isolated. But on the other hand, if all these other issues are so they take all the blood out of us, then maybe to concentrate on just a few, and I would argue, prisons is a kind of solution to that.
Bring in the idea of international enclaves, that if we solve problems in one country, we should immediately see how they work out in, say, China or India.
Yeah, but I mean, it's hard to get, I agree.
International lines of video from China to Australia.
It seems to me that social change requires some sort of goal. You shouldn't the best way to get people to move towards something is give them an experience, give them something to defend. If you've got oppression, then you should be able to define the society you'd like to have by some concrete example somewhere. I see that's the sort of function that the commune, or the community, alternative community movement. I should define that communes is really just a house, everyone in a big structure.
There's a microphone on the front. You've got to sort of point.
And this,
I
totally agree.
This distinction about communities is important. That we're not talking about one structure. Communities, these attentional communities, could represent all sorts of structures. Because that's the obvious criticism of the lefties. Because the sort of life they are defending, the thing that gives them pleasure in life is bloody going to those awful meetings where they sit around. I don't want to be led by people who think meetings like that are an enjoyable situation.
In their defence, I think that they often think that they're awful meetings as well, but they help to liberate groups of oppressed people.
Well, they are helping to liberate themselves.
Yes.
Frankly, I think we all should start with ourselves.
Karl Marx himself says live according to your beliefs.
It wasn't running. I don't know
most Marxians didn't do
Someone
it.
must have pulled the trigger.
Yes, I know. It's a dreadful lesson of Stalinism amongst it all. But the sort of question as to why we're all here, which has been answered in a lot of different ways. I think it's just sort of the sharpest, the clearest division can be just seen in terms of altering our relationship with the planet. That's all. That all the sort of other stuff is a kind of waffle, but the way the society in which we grew up, the idea was kind of to denude the planet and to create a sort of market structure society and commodity. Whereas happiness is a kind of equated with material goods. That was the burden of that is the burden of the message of the current society that we live in. And the whole, the one unifying theme of all the dissident voices of this thing is just to completely, respect, both in a particular way, just in a kind of eating, shitting, living way, and in a much more cosmic way, the place where we're at, you know, the land, and not even all that kind of abracadabra sort of Indian tantric stuff, but just really appreciating that it is the most, you know, valuable kind of direction that we can go to. And I think that there's no need to be modest. I mean, we are taking a giant evolutionary step to kind of move in this direction and to make cutting yourself off from all sorts of other possible shiny chromium-plated futures. Just to get high, it's a way of it's living and getting high and learning every kind of minute. Like
really the evolutionary step is that now we can tune into all the global energies, that we sort of are conscious now that they're all sort of interrelated, that we can see that the world is one total energy system, which we haven't sort of known before. You know, that people have been isolated in small communities, and that they've thought that they could chuck stuff away here, but there's no sort of away anywhere. There's no outside. So, we really have to do it. That the governments and the political systems and those structures aren't set up to coordinate the whole planet. That by definition they're kind of just sort of looking after their own gardens, which won't work on the global scale. So we've just got to do it. So we just got to work out a way of going about doing it. That's.
And we can do it by doing this.
The bells rang. So we've got this obligation.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's me now.
Oh, yeah. Graham, just one. We've got to go.
Oh, that was all right.
We've got to go soon. Just if you're coming into town with fire, that's all. That's between me and you. I'll come down.
Okay. Oh, that was pretty good. All right.
Do you want to get some bell ringing?
Yeah, we'll go down.
It's not as bad, but it's not even pretty bad.
Oh, good, we'll get that.
To grab a whole lot of energy.
That must have been a good shot where you got the two white men together.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, the two hydropours, honey. They were just going like this. Yeah.
Oh, the little pink ones.
Yeah. Now we can do some
I think we're going to leave it.
I vote we take it out from the Land Rover.
Big pyramid.
Now the stone is to go in the kangaroo's stomach after it's been red hot.
Yeah.
In there. And we're pretty thankful for that little doggy over there. See that little doggy on your right? Over to the right.
Yeah, I got him.
There he is.
Yeah.
On the telly, Sam.
Thanks to the little doggy.
Thanks to the little doggy. That's Sam. Super Sam. Hey, Super Sam. Super Sam.
Okay, what, the rock's in the belly, then the ash is in the hole.
Yeah, we dropped the hash in there. And at the nut, yeah. In there. Ben, how are you? Oh, true.
Alan?
Hello.
Alan?
Was that Alan?
Sam seems, seems to communicate with people because he's sharing something.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he does. Look how proud he's sitting there. Hey, Sam, what's happening? Bit of mongrel, eh? What's that? You're good. Oh, kingpin on the board. Oh, yeah. Power, yeah. Let your ego go, mate. Tom, what's that? Sam? Sam. Hey. Maybe the guy says sit up. Sit, Sam. Sit.
Okay, that's a good.
Should be, eh?
So you show the hole, but gee, that's incredible.
God, that,
Yeah?
I can't remember.
I've never seen that, that's intense. So you show the whole body process, the tail curls up, goes right in.
Oh. Yeah, those stones that we put in.
Yeah, that's good, yeah.
And it's good, and it's thrown in the fire, and it's all there.
Stones go in there, yeah.
Stone goes in there.
Right.
In there!
It's a touchy battery. You just hold that vertical. Right.
Can you hold it for him? I think.
Yeah, that's it.
I hope it's all right. Forget that. Sorry. Oh, sugar. Oh, shit, one go in. Okay. Right, now we're getting some of the hole in. Push it in there. See? Right, that's cool.
Doing a good operation.
Quick turn now. Should have done it quick enough. Maybe get a little stand now. I'll get it out. Hey, that's bloody rock and wood.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's nice. Good. That's it. Get in. Wow.
I'll try and hold. Let's get that. No.
Then you push it in there.
It's all?
Yeah. Good. Oh, I think what's that? Oh, shit.
Wow, it's burning.
Oh, just going through the hair, that's all.
Yeah.
Where's that knife?
Yeah.
Sorry. Maybe one more, eh? Is there anything else in there?
Yeah, will you put him?
Yeah, what do I push this in? Can you get him in there? Oh shit, it's coming on.